we're now seeing that this is what makes MAGA really upset. That Donald Trump took an airplane bag of goodies from Qatar. We talked about this early. Now, we are also highlighting the reality of Minnesota AG saying to, well, Ben Shapiro, Chauvin is going nowhere. We got a lot today. Let's go to the AG. Here it is.
If we are issuing pardons, however, there is one person that President Trump should pardon from federal charges forthwith. It would be incredibly controversial, but I think that it's absolutely necessary. That person is Derek Chauvin. President Trump should, in fact, pardon Derek Chauvin. But when it came to BLM, the inciting event for the BLM riots that caused $2 billion in property damage in the United States and set America's race relations on their worst footing in my lifetime, was in fact the railroading of Derek Chauvin in the death of George Floyd. The evidence demonstrates that Derek Chauvin did not, in fact, commit murder of George Floyd. George Floyd was high on fentanyl. He had a significant pre-existing heart condition. Talk about delivering pardons. President Trump, I think, should really seriously consider pardoning on federal charges. He can't pardon on state charges. Derek Chauvin, who was convicted of the murder of George Floyd. As I say, we will be covering this pretty extensively in the coming weeks. Right now, you should go to pardonderek.com and sign our petition asking President Trump to grant justice to Officer Derek Chauvin.
The Attorney General has responded. We talked about this when it first went down. I mean, nobody really had an appetite for this. It was manufactured. Donald Trump did not run on it. Even the racist, bigoted MAGA leadership, they did not go as far as Shapiro and a few others decided to go. But look at the reality. It's for show. He knows good and damn well Chauvin is convicted under state charges also. A federal pardon would do nothing. This is red meat once again. So, in an update, Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison noted that efforts to petition President Trump for a federal pardon are irrelevant to the conviction secured by the state, where Chauvin, quote, still owes Minnesota 22 and a half years, end quote. The state's top prosecutor told MSNBC's Politics Nation on Sunday, Chauvin was sentenced to 22 and a half years for the state charges in April 2021 and 21 years in federal prison for the civil rights conviction. The U.S. Supreme Court rejected an appeal of the state verdict in 2023. Since then, Chauvin's cause has been picked up by Daily Wire founder Ben Shapiro. So on March 4th, Shapiro launched an online petition to secure a federal pardon for Chauvin. Tech billionaire Elon Musk shared a clip from Shapiro's podcast that day and wrote, quote, something to think about. I thought they liked law and order. I thought they respected the rules of the Constitution. At least that's what some Republicans would tell you, while these individuals violate the constitutional rule on a regular basis. He was charged based on the indictment being brought forth. He was then tried by a jury of his peers. The jury of his peers decided on the case. They are called the fact finders. The fact finders weighed evidence rather than commentary, because in a court, evidence has to be weighed. And the only authority that can create the conviction or let him go is the jury. They don't respect that when it comes to cops. How many times have they turned over a conviction because a cop was convicted by a jury? It not only says it disrespects you, me, the Constitution, but the families these individuals come from. All right, so in this letter to Trump, Shapiro called Chauvin's, quote, unjust conviction the inciting event for the BLM riots that caused $2 billion in property damage in cities across the United States and set America's race relations on their worst footing in recent memory, he says. Yet the evidence demonstrates that Derek Chauvin did not murder George Floyd, according to Shapiro. And Shapiro has long denied the existence of systemic racism. Okay? He says it does not exist. It is not a thing. So the petition has more than 50,000 signatures currently, though even some regular Daily Wire followers weren't swayed. Quote, kneeling on a guy's neck for 10 minutes is very weak grounds for a pardon, one wrote on X. Quote, I can't support this cause, another one echoed. All right. So the AG, Ellison has his theories. Okay. Quote, I think they're pushing for it because they want to agitate and outrage people. Ellison told MSNBC about the pardon efforts. Quote, I don't know if Trump is going to pardon Chauvin or not, but if he does, it doesn't change his prison sentence. He still owes Minnesota 22 and a half years, and he's going to do it either in Minnesota or somewhere. Ellison said Sunday that other motivations for a potential pardon could include a desire to show unwavering support for police officers, or maybe the likes of Shapiro and Musk just want to provoke people, he said. In no case is it sensible and good for America, end quote. Ellison asked about the possibility of a pardon. Governor Tim Walz told reporters, quote, there's no indication yet whether they'll go through with it, but I think it's wise for us to be prepared. Given this presidency, it seems like something they might do. All right, so here we go. Why is this happening? Well, we could just chop this up to the basic bigotry and racism that permeates from that particular administration. But the reality is that it does go deeper. It does go into a more polarized zone. And they are doing this because they set agendas. They don't give a damn about Chauvin. And if they cared about what really happened, and all of a sudden they believe, oh, well, this innocent guy, Chauvin, he was convicted for something that he didn't do. They really believe that. Then the petition, Ben Shapiro and others would remind everyone that there were other cops who were convicted of the same thing because of their inaction to save a life. So if you believe Chauvin was wrongfully convicted, why have you not echoed for the other cops who were convicted along with him for said murder? Because you have no integrity in your argument, sir, that's why. All right, Jamie, thoughts, dear brother?
Well, I think you struck the nail right on the head, Dr. Richey, when you alluded to this being nothing more than red meat. Ben Shapiro, everything you cited, he's aware of. He's certainly not an idiot. He is a hypocrite. And I think all this is an effort, like we see in a lot of aspects of the Trump administration, to retroactively justify things that we universally used to recognize as just negative things. I mean, this has nothing to do, despite what Ben Shapiro thinks, with the Black Lives Matter protests or the property damage, anything like that. We watched Derek Chauvin kneel on George Floyd's neck for 9 minutes straight. He could have had leukemia. He could have had every bit of fentanyl in this country injected in his veins at that moment. But the proximate cause of his death was what everybody witnessed with our own 2 eyes. And Ben Shapiro is aware of this.
That's right.
And as you also alluded to, Donald Trump can now erase these state charges. So why on earth are they bringing it up now, years after the fact? But for the fact that they want to send a clear message to people who look like you and me, that they are back in charge of this country, and they're trying to get if you didn't believe in systemic racism before, I mean, this certainly is evidence of it now. So I find it to be disgusting. But
yeah, and we'll bring you updates just to shine light on it. But obviously, once again, it's red meat to their base.